What's that, you ask? Did we fix the audio problems from the previous episode? Of course not. So I'm happy to reintroduce our special guest, Abraham Lincoln! What? Seriously, guys? That's why you have me back on here? I mean, come on. At some point, you've got to get your shit together.
So sometimes we film multiple episodes in the same day, so we don't see any issues that we might have until afterwards.
Okay. Hello, once again, I'm Abraham Lincoln. Now, there may still be some audio issues in this episode, but I promise you after today, they will not exist. Right, guys? We're not making any promises! You guys need to stop calling me. What's up and welcome to the Inside Track. My name's Ryan and I'm here with my boy Jordan. Say hi, Jordan.
What's going on, y'all?
Before we start, go ahead and click that like button because I promise you, you're going to like today's episode. What are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about caves. We tried to find some
caves.
So I'll start us out.
All right, do it. Good.
I had an adventure. So I went down to Brooksville, Florida. If you don't know where Brooksville, Florida is, you're along with the rest of the world because it's a very elusive place. When I was doing my research, I found out, and I don't know if you found the same when you were doing your research, but caving, as we call it here in Florida, it's a well-kept secret.
Oh.
They're not marked on maps. They're not. You need to know the name and the area of the cave that you're looking for. So, I went to this cave in Withakalakalachi State Forest, and that is in Brooksville, Florida. But I read a lot about these caves before I went because I've never been to this area. So I went down there and found Withlacoochee State with WHITHLACOOCHEE.
I beg your pardon, Big Bird.
That's the word. Abkadefki Jekyllmanuk Korstowix is.
Abka, what?
State Forest. Okay, so I called up those people at Withlacoochee State Park, and I was like, hey, I'm wanting to go to the caves. Do y'all have a time that y'all close? So this guy on the phone was like, yeah, we close at sunset. And I could tell, like, I don't know, he was just being weird. So I pull up to this state forest, and it's like 5:30 or so in the afternoon. And so I pulled up, and I was like, so is this where the caves are? She's like, no, honey, you're about 12 miles from where the caves are.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, so where is that? And she's like, uh-huh. So I go back online. I go back and do some research. My earlier tangent about research was there's a lot of forums about caving. I was able to find some people that had been to these caves and were trying to give directions to this cave. I have lots of pictures of me driving on very sketchy roads. Very sketchy roads. The first road that I drove down was just a grass road. It was just like grass like up to my waist, and I feel like I'm in the jungle. And my little Ford Focus is not the best off-roading unit. So I get down to, because there was a sign that said something wilderness protection or wilderness management, and that was like all over the forums. They were like, when you see the sign, this is where you need to be. And so I saw the sign and I turned in, and
Okay.
All of a sudden I get to this gate, and it has a chain like around, I don't know, but there's no lock on it. So
It's just like a chain wrapped
right.
around it.
So I undid the chain and went through the gate. And so I start going down, and I go like 3 or 4 miles down this, have no idea where I'm going. And all of a sudden the trail gets really, really narrow. It like my car's real small, but I started to worry, like, is my car going to fit through here? So I turned around and I went back the whole way. And as I'm leaving, I found out that I was driving through a horse track. Just a random horse track that they had. Yeah. And so I made a decision, and I grabbed a hotel for the night. And come to find out, going to the hotel was super beneficial because the receptionist at the hotel had been to these caves. And so I get my sense about me, and I get up the next morning, and I find the caves. Dame's Cave is the biggest cave that they have there. So the first part of the cave that I walked up to, you're like, okay, this is a cave-looking thing, and you go down, and it's like filled in, like you could see it used to be a cave maybe, and they put rocks in it. I was standing there taking pictures, and I can hear people. There's people on the other side of this, like right there, but I can't get there. So I looked around a little bit and found the entrance to this cave, and it's a pretty good sized cave. I did not go into it.
Oh,
I went down into the entrance. Like you have to like climb down into it, because Florida caves are sinkholes. They're not really
got
caves.
Got it.
Within I got about 2 feet in, and I couldn't see my hand in front of my face.
Really?
Yeah, it was pitch black.
That's cool.
So I was not equipped for caving.
Not for proper cave exploration. No.
No. And so I got down there, and I was by myself, and I heard other people. I was just like, probably not the safest.
Yeah.
Me and Ryan are both Eagle Scouts, and I don't know if I would think that you would agree with me. Caving is not something you should do alone at all. We both believe in the buddy system.
Or something you should just show up and do.
Right.
You should
but
prepare.
Definitely at least have somebody with you.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
never go. There's a disclaimer, never go somewhere alone. If it's mountains, if it's caves, if it's Taco Bell, you shouldn't go alone. Take somebody.
You shouldn't go alone. Buddy system is good. I start to leave. This is great. So not only was I deterred by the blackenedness of this cave and the steepness, and I'm in Converses. I wasn't really prepared to hike or climb.
No.
So I started to walk down into the cave, and these people that were in the cave were hotboxing the cave. I got a contact high without even going into the cave. I was like, whoa, that's a lot of smoke. It was crazy. It was crazy. They're hotboxing in a cave.
Oh my gosh.
I decide, you know what? I'm not going to disturb the pot smokers in their cave.
I'm going to leave.
I'm just going to go.
If the bad buddy system wasn't bad enough.
So I decide I'm going to walk back to my car. And I did a loop around and took a few more pictures. And as I'm walking back towards my car, the people that were in that cave are walking right in front of me. And they're walking towards where my car is. At some point during the half-mile trek back to my car, they notice that I'm behind them. And I don't know, I wouldn't call their leader, but this guy came up to me and was like, "What's up, dude? Just hanging out." And he's like, "You caving?" "Yeah." And he said, "Well, do you know that there's more caves than just that one, right?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "No, dude, there's like 9 or 10 of them out here. You just got to find them. They're not marked. You just keep walking down the trail and keep looking left and right, and you will find them. But the ones that are outside of that are a little bit smaller." So I was like, "Sweet, dude. See you later." And getting back in my car. But yeah, I would go back. I'm definitely going to go back with some friends and do this caving experience more often. Yeah.
For real.
So Ryan, tell me about your situation. Did you find your caves?
I did. So I should share about how I came across my caves and what they wound up being. I accidentally came across my caves. I was visiting Laguna Beach, and we found a private area that is off from the more touristy part of Laguna Beach. But we noticed that there were these caves tucked into the rock face, because there's a sheer rock wall up next to the beach, and there's these steps that go down. And I didn't know this before, but I actually found out there's actually a name for a section that is further over called Thousand Steps Beach. And that's an even longer staircase that has 1,000 steps that you can walk down. This one that we went is not as big. It was a lot closer to the beach and to the road. But it's actually a tide pool. And it's a preservation tide pool. There's actually sea creatures and things that live in this tide pool. So to get to it, you have to be very careful. There's a lot of strict rules, and most of the time it's guarded by somebody who can give you information. They love to tell you about the tide pool, but you're not allowed to pick up rocks. You're not allowed to, if you have to be very careful where you step, because you might step on creatures.
Oh, wow.
So the first time I accidentally found it, which is what gave us this idea, I was unable to go because it was high tide, and you can't get to it in high tide. So I went a second time a little earlier, trying to miss high tide. Well, Ryan learned something. The tides shift, and so Ryan went again at high tide, even though he went earlier. It's how the moon works. So it was
you
still
can just like Google.
You can
high
Google it,
tide.
yeah. But what's the fun in that? I wanted to figure it out on my own. So I went, and it was just the water was too high. So I went a third time.
Nice.
And I got up at the butt crack of dawn to get there at the lowest point that I could feasibly do it. Because lowest tide currently at this time of year is at like 1 a.m. And so that's not useful. I could walk around, but that's even more dangerous than going at second lowest tide, because it has kind of a sine wave where it's
So you did
kind of a
Google
low.
it after that.
You can, and I did once I failed twice. And I found out the exact time. It was 9:24. I parked at 9:23 and walked down to the beach. And it was still very, very high tides.
Really?
I was able to get to the opening. Now, in some of these pictures, you'll see there's little caves that are more like little tuck-ins. They don't really go into the rock face.
Mm-hmm.
They're just kind of little alcoves more than anything. But there's one archway that you can cross through. And there's a video of me, because I couldn't take my camera because it was too deep. There was still too much water within this archway, this like circular path. And I set it up. And so I start wading out into the water to try to get there. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be waist deep, maybe chest deep, and then I can just cling to the rock, because the waves were very, very heavy that day.
Really?
And once I got to the opening, all of a sudden the floor goes out from under me. It's so much deeper in the opening than it is off the beach. So now I'm neck deep in water trying to swim through this little opening and clinging to the water whenever the tide's rushing up against me. There's a video of me doing all of this, and I look like an idiot.
That's hilarious.
I'm not really wearing good swim clothes. I'm still wearing my hat because I was thinking I won't get that wet. But I am neck deep in water trying to swim through this. And when I finally get to the other side, it's just wide open. It's basically like a cut through of the rock.
Okay.
And there's these plateau-like things that are on different levels.
So is there sky above you or no?
Yeah, there's sky above me.
Okay.
I count it as a cave because there is another cave section that is more cavey. It's not really open. But I never made it over there because I learned about it after I drove back home. But there's these plateau things that are really cool, and I wish I could get pictures of it, but I just couldn't risk swimming with my camera
Right.
neck deep in water trying to get to the other side, especially being thrown up against the rock. I got thrown up against the rocks a couple of times.
can't
I
wait to see
could have
this
drowned.
video.
Like, this is dangerous.
And you didn't have a buddy with you either.
I didn't have a buddy with me either. So I got to the top of this, which I can stand up on these. They're a little wobbly, but they're these plateaus that are filled with water. There's literally little tide pools. And what's cool is as the waves rush in, they create tiny little waterfalls. It's really neat.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was a cool area. It was a cool experience, but I don't necessarily count what I did as caves, although there is a cave over there if you make it to the right area. So nobody was there. It was high tide, so there wasn't even a lifeguard. So this place was cool, but really it wasn't what I expected whenever I looked up Laguna Caves and I found what I was looking for. So that area, I'm going to give you a 6 out of 10.
That's pretty generous. Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah.
It almost killed me. I ought to give you a 4.
Well, I had a lot of fun with mine. It was hard to get to, but I think it's kind of cool. Like I said, it's kind of a secretive thing, the caving. But I got an explanation behind it, and they want to kind of preserve these caves to where there's not a lot of graffiti and people in it all the time. So it's for people that really want to go caving and not for people that want to find a place to hotbox a cave.
Exactly.
But I would have to give it a rating of a solid 8. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but
it sounds like an 8. It sounded like a cool experience and something that
cool.
I would want to do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for caving with me, Jordan.